What is up, guys? We are at the shop, of course, just like every other day. It's been gorgeous out, chilling, enjoying the weather. Got the door open finally. Today, we're gonna be working on my S13 and the Boof 40 SX, as I like to call it. If you guys didn't see yesterday's video, it's my buddy Ryan's car. He actually picked this up probably a couple weeks ago, probably towards the middle to end of the winter, and we finally start to work on it. Everything's there, and the chassis is surprisingly clean, but it was put together horrendously, and we're just trying to fix everything that's wrong with it. We're doing a clutch on it, so there's no tranny in it. We have to do new turbo seals, manifold gaskets, all that stuff. We have to actually put a new turbo on it. We just found out his turbo is completely shot, has so much shaft play, it is disgusting. Just fixing a bunch of stuff that was just held together with hopes and dreams. I'm gonna transform this car. But for me, my S13, we got it running yesterday, so if you didn't see that, make sure you go check out yesterday's video and catch up on it. Still gotta put coolant through it, and I gotta wire up all my gauges, get the slave cylinder ran and bled, get my suspension all tightened up, and hopefully we can put it across the parking lot. That's really the goal for today, but it's a lot of work and we kind of started late today. I guess we'll start with the gauges. We need to get the gauges done because we need to know what the hell my car is doing. So if you guys don't remember from last season, I have an AFR gauge, a boost gauge, and a water temp gauge. Now those are very important. The last one I really do need though is a oil pressure gauge, but for now, that'll get us going. Now right here, this big cluster of wires is my gauge wires right here. So I'm gonna shorten these, put these on one power harness, give them all power, and wire up the sensors. It should be pretty easy. All right guys, so the harness is all laid out. What's up, Dill? How's the Cressida?
It runs. Gets me a little lightheaded, just what I like in the afternoon.
So here's the wiring for my gauges. We have my boost gauge, we have my AFR gauge, and I have my coolant temp sensor gauge. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically cut the power harness like pretty short because I don't need it to be super long, and power these all at one source. So I'm gonna put all the power harnesses together. Right now we have I put the gauge wirings right next to each other. So the blue and the white wires, the long ones, are basically for like signal outputs. So you could basically put readings into, like, if you have an aftermarket ECU. So I'm keeping those long just in case I do want to wire those into my Nismotronic for any other reason. Now for the power and ground wire, which is literally all you need to power your gauges, I cut short. Why I cut short is because the gauges are always gonna be right next to each other, and I don't want a plethora of wires underneath my dash if I don't have to. We're basically gonna put these all in one power source and one ground. There it is. All right, so it was simple, easy, guys. We have our 3 gauge plug-ins right there. We have our power harness right here. This I could just ground off somewhere. And then this side, we're gonna go to the fuse panel. The annoying part is running these wires efficiently in the car. So the gauges are in place, they're all plugged in. Now we have to run the sensor wiring. Neglect this. This is giving me a heart attack. There's so many wires right here. I have to go through them all and just like cleanly place them and zip tie them up. Once I know the car is together running great and nothing's wrong, then I'll put it back up. Because if you guys remember, completely chopped up my body harness, simplified it a ass ton, and flipped it into the car. And so I want to make sure everything works before I tuck it away out of the way. AFR gauge, we have it running to the tranny tunnel. Of course, to go down to the O2 sensor by the exhaust right there. I have the boost cylinder gauge like right here because it could be in the cabin. For the coolant temp sensor, we have it coming out the firewall to here, but we need to get all the way to there. We gotta extend this thing a couple feet. Now, I'm just gonna electrical tape it just like this, and then now that that's all ran together, when I get the moment, I can loom it all as one. I'm not gonna leave it as bare electrical tape, so give me a few moments. If you guys notice, I'm using a different camera today. So if you didn't watch yesterday's video, I actually completely blew apart the lens on my old camera. And I have to wait for a new lens to come in, so I'm using my old G7X camera that I actually gave to my friend. He's let me borrow it back, so we got it fully extended. Now let's tape it up. All right, there it is. As you see, I ran it like this. It looks clean. Once I get the loom on this and loom this all together, it'll look great. And look at the vape man himself, Donald.
What up?
It's been so long. DJ's like been working an ass ton. He's been stacking, so it's okay. We understand the grind. Look at the Skyline, dude. I haven't seen the Skyline in so long. Ooh, love this car. Let's see if my gauges work. I forgot to mention, for my boost gauge, I teed it off of my map sensor just because now I'll get the exact same reading that I know my ECU is getting of my map, which is ideal. So, moment of truth. Hope I didn't mess it up. Hey, first try. On the video it's probably flashing because they're LEDs, but in real life they're not, so that's awesome. Now I just need a new gauge holder because I think does not fit. Oh, what does DJ have to? Oh, wow, yo, you're washing it. What is this, the second time you've ever washed this car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect day for it. Chip, are you working on your car?
Attempting. So I was gonna just jack up on the can to like raise it because like it's stupid floppy and slanted, but I'm gonna do the professional route and cut it out and just put a piece of pipe.
Is it that resonator on his exhaust? It hangs way too low and he just drags it. So what he's talking about is cutting it out and putting a pipe in instead.
Copy, delete, paste.
And the reason why it's all apart right now is because his power steering line, we finally put fluid in it, it's just pissing fluid. Unfortunately, the OEM fitting is actually bad, which is crazy. I've never seen that before. So he has to pull the high pressure line, and luckily I still have an aftermarket high pressure line from when I redid my bay because I got a whole new kit. Doing the pass off the Jeep, and we're just gonna put that on. The only problem is, with all the turbo stuff on now, getting to the fitting on the rack is miserable. I'm gonna come and help him in a few, but
Well, it's off the rack.
he says it's off the rack. I don't believe him, but we're gonna come help him in a few. What I gotta do now is I have to bleed my slave cylinder, and I have to put coolant in the car and let it all bleed out. And then we could probably drive the car, which is kind of weird actually to think about. Jip's pumping and holding the clutch.
Oh my god.
Is he getting you right? This is getting weird, dude.
My god.
All right, pump. Hold it, Jip.
I honestly have no control over this at all.
All right, we're bleeding the clutch, as you guys could probably tell. You holding?
Okay, come here.
Feel like our clutch yet?
It's like still super soft.
All right, so I bought a stage 4 unsprung clutch, and it should be pretty hard, but I guess it's soft according to Jip. That is not a soft clutch, Jip.
Yeah, it is. What kind of clutches you drive?
Well, I don't know what the hell.
That's soft. You're high.
No, it's not. Do it again.
You need to put a lot of.
Stop it. Come on, shoot.
Yeah. All right, guys, time to fill it up with some coolant. Make sure it doesn't leak anywhere. Had to go with the theme. Got red coolant. No,
Please stop.
I like, yeah.
Green.
It's green. I hate green coolant, whatever.
Why? Why does it matter if it's green?
Yeah, I don't know. He was looking for colors at advanced, like. Oh, we got a piddle.
Really?
We got a piddle.
Really?
Yep.
No. You were the worst. So, I didn't think so, but these motor mounts are a lot stiffer than my old mounts, which if you hold them in your hands, these feel way softer. I don't know if I over-tension them, because with these mounts, there's a through rod, so if you tighten them a lot, they'll obviously be stiffer, so I might back them off a few because my car is really vibrating, and I don't remember it being this like. But the car started to overheat. Well, it didn't actually get to overheating, but I could tell that the numbers were just climbing. Thermostat didn't want to open, but usually happens on your first heat cycle, thermostat doesn't want to open. So I got the fans hooked up. The fans weren't hooked up before. That's the last thing I got to do wiring wise. I completely forgot, but luckily it is the last bit of wiring I need to do. I put new wires on the fans. I put constant power to them, and now just to like make them work in the meantime, I just basically have to ground them out. So we're gonna start it up and try again. 200 degrees, my thermostat finally opened, which is cool. So it'll be good. It should be good. When they sit for a really long time, that always happens. First heat cycle, they always take forever to go up, but we're set, boy.
Wow.
Well guys, you could probably tell today is not the same day as yesterday. So last night, kind of finished up the car, got it idling good, everything like that. Then get more stuff done, so I kind of stopped filming. But today I don't have much time because I actually have to go to a going away party for one of my really good friends. So he's actually moving to California, which is like pretty cool. But we have a few hours at the shop. Woke up way later than I wanted to, but we'll be set. So today I want to clean the coupe up a little bit. I want to get the fan wiring done. Only got a few hours, so wish us luck. Like I was saying in the car, we have to do the electric fans, and a lot of guys, there's like 3 options for fans. You could either run a clutch fan that regulates itself, or you could run electric fans on either a switch, or like a manual switch, so you have to turn them on when you see your car like getting hot, or you can get an automatic switch, which basically reads the temperature of your coolant for you and then turns on for whatever temperature you set it for. Last year I did the manual switch, and sometimes you forget to turn it on. Other people drive your car and they forget to turn it on. Your car gets really hot and it really sucks and it freaks me out. So this is like the Mishimoto thermostatic switch fan controller thing. I actually got this from Tommy F. Yeah, he actually hooked me up. They accidentally sent him 2, so he sold me his second one for like dirt cheap. So Tommy, if you're watching this, thank you very much. But this is really easy. They tell you exactly right here what to plug in. So this is basically, this whole box isn't really doesn't do anything. This is really your bread and butter. It's a relay, a low voltage, low amperage switch that you would turn on to then send a higher current to the fans. If you run the full current that goes to the fans through a switch, you're just gonna burn it out. So that's what basically a relay does, is it runs the high current for you with a switch in it that you tell the switch on. If that makes sense. I'm really bad at explaining things, but we're gonna get some technical. We're gonna get technical right now. All right, guys, so this is our setup. So we have our battery, we have our fans, we have our relay, and that's about it. So this is what's happening. Batteries ground to the chassis, of course. To complete a circuit, you need a full circuit, positive to ground. Relays grounded, running off the ground to the fans. We have a temperature switch, we have a manual override switch, and we have a constant power. So the temperature switch, basically what it does is it measures the temperature of the radiator, and once it hits the temperature that you desire to set the switch at, it will then turn the relay on, which opens it, allowing the circuit to complete itself and turning the fans on. A lot of the time they give you an option to run a manual override switch, just in case you don't think your temp sensor is working, you want to come on early, you flip this switch and it'll open that circuit too and allow the fans to go on. It needs a constant power source to the relay, so that's what we call it, a switch power or ACC, so power once you turn the ignition on. And that's easy. That's exactly how the relay works, and it's nice and easy. Now let's get it in the car. All right, guys, so knowing me, I was trying to find like a nice way to tuck the relay so you don't see it. Now, I was thinking about putting it underneath the dash like everything else, but it's getting really clustered down there, and there's plenty of functions in there. I don't want to make a mix of anything else. So I decided to put it somewhere like sleek, but you still see it, and that's behind the headlight. I'm really happy with this. What we have to do now, everything's pretty easy right here. We got to put this to the negative of the fan, and then we got to put this to a ground, which we could literally do like right here, which is really nice. And then this is our sensor wire that we're just gonna basically shove in the radiator between the fans. You wanna put this as close to the hot side as possible. So the closer you can get to your hot side inlet, the more accurate reading. But realistically, it has an adjustable temperature sensor on it. So even if you couldn't get it near, you could always like, you know, adjust it lower so that it makes up for the hotter heat, if that makes sense. So I have the negative side of the fans all hooked up to the relay. See the relay down here, have the relay grounded right there to part of the radiator support. This, I'm gonna see how far I could reach over to this side, and we're just gonna shove it through. And it's actually like right at the inlet, which is where you want it to be. That wire is kind of like drooped between the intercooler and the radiator. Hopefully that wire holds up, because that's a really hot spot. I guess time will tell. I should probably heat wrap it, but I'll get that too. I wanna make sure they work first, and we'll do that. What are you doing?
I found this on the road.
This 240 looks amazing, and I love the green valve cover. What's the next step, Jimmy?
Jesus, I'm
Feeling lightheaded.
All right, B-Hall, we gotta get the trigger wire, but we gotta tuck it, so we're gonna go in the fender.
all right, fender it is.
So for the switch power for the relay, I have it like up, tucked away over the lip and into the cabin. Now the annoying part is trying to find a switch source in that big pile of mess right there. I was really fortunate, and I left myself one free bank on my fuse panel right here from when I completely simplified the panel. So this one live bank I was actually able to use for the fans, and we're all set. So it's just like OEM, really happy. And the last thing I needed, of course, guys, is the live power. This one right here, the live power to the fans. I went straight to the alternator because it was right there, and the alternator plug is live power, so it's perfect. So fan switch should be all set, and I'm really happy. Didn't really add much more cluster to the bay. You see it down there, but who cares? I'm gonna zip that out of place, and we should be all set. And that should complete the wiring for the car, besides the headlights. Fuck. All right, she's not running too good right now. Not that hypes. Huh. Not really stoked on the way it's running right now, so I'm not gonna let it warm up. We're just gonna assume the fans work for now. Sound good, Jip?
Yeah.
What is you doing? I don't know. Maybe my voltage is low. I gotta check that. That'll really do it. I don't know. I'm pissed. My car is running like ass right now. My AFR is really bad and it's like kind of choppy, so I don't want to let it warm up. Test it later. I don't have time to test it right now. I actually have to go to a go-away party for one of my good friends, so we're gonna call it a day there. Are you guys gonna go home or are you guys gonna get some stuff done?
Look at us. Chip answered it for me.
There it is. Well, I didn't film it, but Jip cut his exhaust apart, so he's gotta bolt it back up for me.
Yeah, well.
Then I'm gonna like, you know, do the thing where I mock it up, cut it, tack it, weld it, and all that good stuff. And this is the rack that Jip needs for his power steering, so I think this is it. I'm pretty sure. So good luck.
That fitting out, yeah.
So
Don't get me gas.
get that power steering line on. I think we're gonna end it right here. I might come back later on, so this might not be the end there, but maybe. So you guys know the deal. DrewTube.
Like.
Oh, actually, no, I'm not done yet. Actually, so tomorrow, picking up the seats for the car, which means we can get them in. We could drive the car. Isn't that exciting?
Very exciting.
If it doesn't run like dick like it just did. So, okay, there it is, DrewTube. Send it.
Like.
Comment.
Subscribe.
And
Stay
tuned
for
more
content. That's his part.
Uh-oh. It came off in my hand.